Good morning, all. Welcome to another episode. It's just going to be me and the lovely Jaz Goven. I hope I got that right.
Near enough.
How are you?
I'm great. Really great.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So we'll give you a little bit of an introduction, and we'll get we'll get to it. So she is got over 20 years experience. Basically you've been practicing Chiang Mai in Thailand. Basically you've done everything, haven't you?
I'll have a go at anything, Adam.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be discussing how we can begin to understand and then transform our trauma and our experience with abuse at the subconscious level. So I know you know a lot about this particular topic. So for those that don't know who Jaz is, obviously I've just given a brief introduction. Who is Jaz in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, Jaz, well, as you can hear, I'm English, but I left England the first time when I was 21, and that's a while ago. And I've lived in many different countries around the world, kind of searching, looking, adventuring, falling flat on my face, and getting up and doing it again. But I kind of came to Thailand 25 years ago, and I've lived in Thailand on different levels. I was married, now I'm not. I'm single and I do my own thing. And Thailand has become my home more than the UK, because it's an easy place to live. We have a lot of freedom. We have an amazing lifestyle, and I don't see any reason to go anywhere else.
When people find a home, that's it. It's home for life. That's the saying. Obviously, I don't see England as home, but we're in the process.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
It was when I was in Thailand, really, that this all started to unravel. I've always been interested in things that are a bit out of the box. But my own struggle came when I was married, and I had no idea, Adam, that I was doing this very British thing, and I was being strong. I thought that's the way you overcame problems. And I was in a relationship with my husband, who I loved very, very much. But my emotional needs or physical needs were not being met for various reasons. And I kind of pushed that over there and filled my life, or our life, with different things to do. And what that resulted in was me becoming absolutely traumatized. And I couldn't move. I would go into shock and trauma, and my body would go rigid and would have to be relaxed by acupuncture or whatever. And I had no idea. I thought I was being strong and doing all of that. So I was taken into hospital, every test, tubes, everything, and there was nothing wrong with me. They sent me home with muscle relaxants, and that was it. And that's when I started to understand about how we suppress emotions and how dangerous that is and how far-reaching it is. And so the doctors couldn't help me, and so I started to investigate things myself, and that led me down that road. So that road has given me over 20 years experience helping myself, but at the same time, like many of us, you also, Adam, when we start to see how things come together, we know we can help other people with our own experiences. And that's what I do today.
Yeah, you do. And I remember when we had a session on it, and it was very much spiritual. Very much. But yeah, I highly recommend it. And yeah, so going back to the trauma side and the abusive side, what sort of character did you become at that level?
What kind of character did I become? Well, on the outside, I was amazing. I was amazing. I was teaching water aerobics. I had my own boutiques, and I looked completely successful. But I'd do a yoga session, and then I'd have to lie down in the afternoon. And I got a serious back problem. I had operations, but my back didn't heal. And I also, within that, started without realizing it, using this back situation as an excuse to not do things.
Yeah.
So, in many ways, um, I was still very much in love with my husband and wanted our relationship, as did he. But I started to close down things. I would look great, but inside I was falling apart. So I kept it together on the outside, inside falling apart. And I was fooling myself more than as much as anybody else.
Yeah, and that can, and it can actually have an impact on our surrounding people as well, like friends, family, uh, work colleagues, whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I do believe that, as you say, the session we had was spiritual. I believe we're all spiritual beings, just some of us a bit more open with it. And I believe that all those things had to kind of happen to me to get me to choose the road where I'm supposed to be.
It does. Yeah, we're all on this path, and I believe we're all going in to the same destination, but we're going on our own different journey. Some are
Yes.
going through, I don't know, toxic side. Some are going peaceful. Some are going bit of both. But I believe the best path is if you go a bit of both,
The best
because
part is what? I didn't catch that.
basically, like, we're going on all these journeys,
Yes.
going to the same destination. Some people are going just all peace and love and positive. Some people are going through the toxic side, where they become toxic or they've got toxic in their life. And some people are doing a bit of both, bit of
Right.
peace, bit of toxic. And I believe the best path is going the bit of both,
Okay.
because if we're experiencing bit of both, then it teaches us a life lesson that we can begin to heal from
Absolutely.
trauma.
And don't you think that as well, that once we start to open up and share our experiences, that we attract to us other aspects of ourselves, and we can help
Absolutely.
those people because of what we've been through.
Yes. Yes, I do. I do,
Yeah.
because when we, and if people's got any questions, you're more than welcome to put them in. Um, and I believe when we begin to share, somebody's always listening and they're watching. It doesn't matter who it is. And it takes that one person to say, I resonate with that little bit of Jazz's story or Adam's story or whoever's, and then they begin to look in themselves, and then they'll begin to find the confidence and find the tools and strategies to say, right, I want to go and share. So that's how the cycle goes.
Mm. And what I'm finding is the more I do this, the more I'm able to help people, because I think when we first start off, we see everything black and white, right and wrong, good and bad. That's the way that we're conditioned. And then as we start to expand and have experience of people with different issues or different takes on life, that's when our perspective starts to open. It's
Mhm.
like, wow, I never thought of it that way. Wow, I do that. And I've become so much more open over the years, seeing things from other people's perspective, because I want the very best for them. So how do I get the very best for them? Is by meeting them where they are and then taking them to where they want to go.
Exactly, and that's what it is. But it takes within ourselves to say, right, I need to reach out and get that support, because even though there's always a hand there waiting, people can't do it for us. We have to take that leap of faith. And
Right.
whether we trust that person or not, life's about taking risks. And I believe challenges and finding hard times can be a real benefit towards our mindset.
I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you.
Absolutely. So obviously you came round, you said, right, fuck the past. Yeah, forget it. Let's move forward. Let's
Yes.
live life. Not have life live me. Let's live life. When did you say, basically say that? Like, put all that toxic past, close that book, and let's start Jazz's chapter.
Well, one day I woke up and there was three things I thought that I wanted to take action on. And I didn't know which one was the best one. So I'm like, okay, blow it. I'm going to do the lot. So I got a divorce. I rented out the house and I opened a healing center. And that was the beginning of my life.
Yeah. Oh, Jazz has just obviously she froze, but I know she'll be back because she's got an amazing story. She really does. Hello to everyone who's tuned in. Please do put a like. Please say hello. And if you haven't already, please do share and subscribe because without you, without your support, where would we be to share these stories? Because this is what it's all about. So we'll just wait for Jazz to come back. Yeah, hope everyone's doing fine. And obviously, if people want to come onto the show as well and share their story, you are more than welcome to. We are always looking for guests. So I'll just. Wait. Right, I'll give it a couple more minutes, and if Jazz doesn't come, then we'll end it. But we will bring her back. Right, I'm going to end this, and we will. Oh, she's back. She's back. What happened?
We're having an amazing storm here. It's like absolutely throwing it down, and the internet went out. So sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. Well, you're back. You didn't quit, and that's what it's all about. So, obviously, you was talking about how you opened your Jazz's book and closed the book on the past.
Yes. So really what happened was I opened my own healing center. That was in Bangkok in 2002. And I started to meet all sorts of healers, people. I had no idea what was out there, but amazing healers. And they would come to my center, do sessions. I'd experience these. And I started to see what was possible and how I could help people. And what I discovered, Adam, was I have a gift of knowing, and I just know what's going to work for people. I just know which therapy they needed. And so I started to match that. And within that own knowing, I started to recognize what kind of things worked for me. And I started from that, I started to create my own healing modalities. So what works for me, it's got to be simple, easy, and it's got to be duplicable. And so I've created now 3 different systems for people to help themselves, be helped, and to help kids.
Absolutely. Would you like to share what those 3 things are?
Yes, love to. So the first one, and my baby, is fast track technique. And fast track technique is an amazing system where I am able very, very easily to connect the client with their higher self. And the higher self guides me using muscle testing to the cards that I've created. I'll just show you a couple.
That's the one I did, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's 21 of these cards, and each one of them has a banner. And so your higher self knows who you are, why you're here, and what you need. And it guides me using muscle testing to the specific card that is the gateway or the doorway into where your issue lies. And once we get there, then we're very, very easily able to release the energy of that or the blockage of it and reprogram you with something that's more in keeping with what you want today.
Absolutely.
So this never lets me down. I created it about 14, 15 years ago, and there isn't a week that doesn't go past. I'm like, how does it do that? like, wow. And so now, it goes off wherever the person needs to go. So it matches you where you are and expands you. And so it's done the same to me. And I think that my, let's say, happy place in the world these days is because of fast track and how it's expanded me to see things differently.
Yeah.
Once I'd been doing fast track for a couple of years, then I started to see, as I'm sure you've experienced, that most people's problems happen in childhood, or they start there. And so it was a no-brainer. Well, if you can do that with fast track, do something for children and help them before they need a therapist. So I created Magical You, and that's a game that parents can play with their kids, and it allows the child to be able to relate their internal feelings with an external picture. And when they do that, the trauma, big or small, melts. So it's absolutely amazing. And it's won awards. It's incredible.
Wow.
So I thought it was done with systems. And then 2 years ago, I created something called Empower Me. And this is a system, not quite finished yet, but it's out there. And this is self-help. And so this is a step-by-step system where we work with thoughts, thinking, points of view, and feelings. And when we identify them, we can transmute them into something more useful in an instant. It's incredible. And so anybody can do this and learn it by themselves.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So yeah, if anyone wants to basically overcome that trauma, hit Jazz up. Other way.
Well, I think, so many traumas, so many therapies is about talking about the story. And, it's been proven that that's not really helpful. It's just repeating the trauma. And we don't need to be doing that. What we need to do is to find out where is the trauma, where is it in the body, and let's get rid of it. And then it's not there, and move forward. That's not to say that the story or the events aren't important. Of course they are. But to keep going back to that and blaming mum and blaming dad and the church and stuff is not helpful. So we need something that's more modern day and acknowledges the past while shifting us into the future.
Well, and that's exactly what it is, because revisiting that trauma, yes, some parts of it, talking about it can be good, because then it starts to question everything. But at the same time, there's risks towards it as well, where you start questioning yourself. And that can cause a lot of anxiety and even further trauma down the line. But you're right, and obviously before we came on, obviously we was talking a little bit about my recovery journey, and obviously for people that don't know, the biggest cause for relapse is resentment. It's resentment, and when you point scoring, well, I won't say point scoring, but pointing the finger, everything like that, that's resentment. That is resentment. It doesn't matter. Well, it does matter about what happened in your upbringing, and of course, it can be unforgivable and unforgettable. And we're not asking for you to forget it. All we're asking to do is basically look into yourself and like, right, you had no control over then
Right,
what
right.
happened. You have no control over that, but now you have the control. You're an adult. You have that control over your reaction and your response. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep revisiting that trauma and keep triggering yourself? Or are you going to be like, right, it happened to me. What can I do to let go? If it
Right.
means kicking that family member out of your life, I've done it. I'm sure Jazz has. And move forward and live your life. Not let life live you, or let other people live your life.
Yes.
It's all about power of healing.
One of the things that I will mention is, I agree with you 1,000,000%,
Yeah.
and forgiveness, unforgiveness, all of that stuff is all we're doing is hurting ourselves. The other person's moved on or in another story, and we're just holding on to our hurt. We're a victim. Letting that go for ourselves is very important. But one of the things that in Fast Track I discovered is that there is something called cellular memory.
Okay.
And of course, we have a trauma that's remembered in the cells of the body. But if cellular memory is attached to it, what that means is that every time that your subconscious feels that you're moving into a similar situation, it recreates the cellular memory, and we have attachment to that memory. So yes, you can release the cellular trauma, but if you are attached to that memory for any reason, it's not going to go until you release your attachment to it. And that's something that not everybody is aware of or is able to work with, because that cellular memory can stop the healing process incredibly.
Okay. So what
That
sort
makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what sort of strategies did you implement with your own trauma into letting go?
Oh well, but it was very hit and miss. You know, I had, being in the healing center, of course, I experienced all sorts of different healing modalities, and I try anything. And I believe that everything works, but not everything works for everybody.
Yeah.
And so I learned everything that I could, and I expected miracles every time. And I expected it to be fast, and why isn't it now? And so I would say that my healing journey was a big jigsaw puzzle. And it's
Okay.
because I had to find my own way. And my own way means that I developed fast track first. So it used to get me annoyed. You know, it's like, okay, if I want to help somebody, I use NLP for this, I use EFT for that, and I use Reiki for something else. And I'm, why can't we have everything in one place? And so this little voice said, well, why don't you create it? I'm like, oops, okay, all right.
If you want to swear, you swear. It's expressing how you feel.
Yes, yes. So, and so that was my inspiration, was to get as much as I could in one place so that I could help people more in one session than having to dive into different things. And so far, I would say I'm able to do that pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very
So,
rewarding.
so two questions which people are still unaware of in themselves. Through the trauma, during the trauma, who is Jazz compared to who is Jazz now?
Oof, great question. Jazz was a victim. She blamed the other person. It wasn't her fault. She had fears that she didn't know about. She was externally very, very confident and internally not. And who Jazz is now is becoming more and more authentic on a daily basis, and more curious about what else is possible. And I would say every day that passes, without shadow of a doubt, I'm happier in my own self just because I exist.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't say you're a victim. I'd say you're a survivor.
Yes, but you know, what I will say is what I had a tendency to do, and I didn't know any different, was carry the hurt a bit like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And I understand why I did it, didn't know any better. But one of my biggest regrets, no, I would say the only regret, is that when my husband was going through his difficult time, I wish I had asked more questions to find out how he really felt, rather than protecting myself. And you could say, well, go back and ask the questions now, but the answers wouldn't be the same. But it hurts me that I could have been more compassionate and understanding at that time than I was. And I would, if I had the opportunity to go back and do that again, I would be more concerned about how he was than how I was.
Okay. I don't see that being self-centered. I don't.
No, it's not self-centered, but
No.
it's a regret that I wished I had been a little bit more of a compassionate, or known to be more compassionate. I did the best I could. I did a damn good job. But when I think about who I am now, and who I was, well, there was that person was me, and very hurt and shocked, etc., and rigid within that, and didn't know it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously, not every question has an answer. Or if it does, they may not have identified that or even be ready to answer that.
Absolutely, and there can be more than one answer, as we know, and I also think, especially in relationships, or let's say less conscious relationships, that people don't have honest conversations.
No.
They say what they think will work. Most of us have a great deal of difficulty expressing our truth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, many answers.
Yeah. So would you say when it comes to the dishonesty, that person, whether it's a man or a woman, whatever, is still trapped in an area of their trauma?
Sorry, Adam, you said when that person, and I missed
Right.
the next bit.
It obviously every man or woman, when they're being dishonesty with someone else, whether it's a soulmate or even with themselves, if they're being dishonest, would you say that individual is trapped in an area of their trauma?
Great question.
I've never asked that before.
Yeah, it's a great question. Write it down. You should ask everybody that. Yes, I would say, but I'd qualify it that their trauma is not allowing them to be their full, amazing self.
Yeah.
And so they are, we're working, or we're operating as less than 100%. And we fake stuff. And I think the one, who we're most dishonest with, ourselves. I was. I was. Yeah. But I also think that things like this program, and I hold groups and stuff, these are amazing opportunities for people to share. And as you said earlier, to hear what other people's points of view are, and to open up different conversations and opportunities to dare to be honest and like, oh yeah, I do that. All right, do you? Oh, I do that too. Because we're all human beings. We're all flawed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. See, I know over, like, because we've done over 900 shows, and in some way we've done pretty much the same area. Like, we've been discussing mindset, we've been discussing trauma, and the amount of different perspectives we have had on things. Like, I know on some panels I've said something We've had people agreeing with me. We've had people disagreeing with me. And
Yes.
that's okay. That's
Yes.
okay. We
Yes.
welcome that.
Yes. Yes. You
Yes.
know, if I can share this, I'm very excited. This is my latest work.
Okay.
And I'm eternally curious and want to know more. And it's not a control thing. I just like knowing how things work and fit together. And I came across two words a few months ago, and it was inherent worthiness. And I just knew that this was huge. So I brought these words home. I'm like, what does that mean? And when I started to allow the meanings to show up, it was like a Rubik's cube, and everything just moved and it became perfect. I'm like, oh my God. So what? So now I'm working with clients on inherent worthiness, because inherent worthiness is the value of who you are just because you exist. And it's got nothing to do with your programming, your trauma, or anything else. And so it's going back to not the truth even, it's going back to the real you that was born and got covered up with all the conditioning. And this is the most exciting work I've ever done. And I think this is also helping people to see, in many ways, you know, when we're on this spiritual path and we hear this term, oh, I'm not good enough. And you're like, oh, right, okay, well, that's me. I'm not good enough. And we start carrying that round, or I'm not worthy. And then we want to be worthy. Well, what does that mean? We don't
Well,
know.
they're
We
just
don't.
labels. They're just
Exactly.
Yeah, they're just labels.
But inherent worthiness is not a label. It's the value of who you are simply because you exist.
Mm-hmm.
And as I started to investigate this, what is showing up is that the inherent worthiness is the human being part of your soul. It's dead exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is. So let's talk about your book.
My what?
Your book.
What book's that?
Oh, do you not have a book?
Well, actually, it's funny because I've just written a book, but it's not been published yet.
Do you still want to talk about it?
Well, no, it's a little book. Well, so I work with something called Lofty Questions, and they're amazing for moving you forward. You acknowledge that things aren't quite the way you want them, but you don't go back into the past. You create a lofty question that takes you forward. And I use these a lot myself to create the day I want, the type of day I want for myself. And so I've just sent all the bits and pieces to somebody to put together as an ebook. So it will be ready any day now. And if anybody would like a copy of it, I'd be very happy to gift it.
Brilliant. There you go. There you go. Yeah. I'd look forward to reading it. So yeah, it's I'm trying to think. Have you got anything to ask?
Yes, I would like to ask you, who has been your biggest inspiration and what was your wake-up call?
My greatest inspiration, great question. I would say doing these shows. Doing these shows because the amount of connecting we have done since 2019 has just been absolutely phenomenal. Seeing all these new faces, hearing all these new stories, hearing all these new perspectives on different things, it gets you to think about who you truly are and who you truly want to be. Because I believe being part of this and hearing all this, it prevents you from becoming that people pleaser, because it taps into who you really want to become. So it works on your own identity.
Oh, interesting. And who was your biggest inspiration?
Who? Everybody. Everybody's inspiring. But they are, though. They are, because every story's different and it's unique, because even though we're all on the same path, like I said before, we're all on the same path, and obviously we're all going to die one day, and that's our destination. And I believe 1000% that we're going to die one day, and it doesn't matter. It just matters when, but our stories are going to live on. It's going to live on through our kids or our grandkids, whatever. Even though I'll never have grandkids. Not going to happen. But my kids, yeah, and they're going to live on, and yeah. And I don't think about what's next. I don't think about that. I think about the here and now, because anything can happen between now and tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
Anything can happen.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. And I live every single day, and it might sound self-centered, it might sound toxic, but to me it's not. Nobody knows if they're going to wake up the next day. And I believe you should live every single day that it's your last day alive.
Yes. I
Every
agree
day.
with you. I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I often think about elderly people, you know, when they're preparing to die, whether they're in a home or a hospice or whatever, and they start pouring out their past, the stuff that they kept all bottled up. And it's like they've got to get rid of it before they pass over. I read a book the other day. Can't remember what it was, but this guy passed over and then came back, and the way he described it was like, I can't wait to die. Like, it sounded amazing. Wow. And what he said was, it was like the vocabulary that we have just doesn't do justice to
Yes.
what it feels like to pass over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
Thank you for asking that. So very, very easy. I've got a new website out, which is just my name, is jazgoven.com. And you'll find me on Facebook, which is Fast Track Technique Webinars. And you can drop me an email at jazgoven.com.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
answer everything. And also just mentioning that anybody'd like to know more about my work, then I offer free discovery calls, and I'm happy to speak to anybody anywhere in the world. So although I live in Thailand, my clients are all over the place.
And that's how inspiring she is. So on that note, we'll end with this. Next week. You're gonna love the topic, Jazz. You really are. Next week, back at 8 p.m. UK. Social expectancies for the experience of negative emotions. So we're going to be covering that next week. So everyone's back to normal. So on that note, I will end here. Please do subscribe. I am gonna be sharing everything over the weekend, from Facebook Reels, Instagram, YouTube. So please check them out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And Jazz, I hope you can come back again. and discuss your book.
All right. Yes. There might be another one by then. You never know, do you?
Exactly. So yeah, right. Well, I'll see you all later, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you, Adam.